Are you someone that has a friend, family member, or a partner who's an abuse survivor and you're not quite sure how to best support them? In this video, I'll provide you with the do's and don'ts of how to best support the abuse survivor in your life. Don't forget to hit that like button and let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome back to Survivor Tribe. When I disclosed my abuse to my family members about 12 years ago, I was met with a variety of responses, some really good and some really vile. A big part of my recovery was bouncing back from the incredibly heartbreaking way that the people who were supposed to love me the most responded to my coming forward. Their lack of support and empathy inflicted a whole other layer of trauma on top of the heaping pile of pain I was already suffering through. Unfortunately, this is a very common occurrence amongst people who have spoken out in regards to their abuse. My personal experience with coming forward was mostly traumatic, so I wanted to provide some tips for anyone who may have a survivor in their life, or if someone discloses abuse to them, so that they have the tools that they need to provide stellar support. If you are someone who wants to know the best way to support someone after abuse, then this video is for you. The first and most important thing to do when someone discloses their abuse to you is believe them. Not believing a survivor can cause an enormous amount of additional damage, especially if you're a close friend, family member, or a respected authority figure. When they do come forward, do tell them that you are there for them. Believe them, remind them that it's not their fault, and tell them that you are sorry for what they're dealing with. Now, if you do have doubts about what they're saying, these doubts should be thought through in your head and not through a conversation with the survivor. I cannot stress this enough. You are not a court of law, and it is not up to you to determine who is right or wrong in this scenario. It is also better to err on the side of caution as not to inflict additional pain onto your loved one. Do more listening and less talking. Now is the time for listening and not offering a bunch of feedback or asking a bunch of questions. Give your loved one the space they need to express how they feel. When you do respond, express admiration for their courage in coming forward, and do recognize how difficult this must have been for them. Do step outside of your comfort zone. Now, these are incredibly difficult conversations to have, but do remember, no matter how uncomfortable you are not the one feeling the direct impact of the abuse. Your loved one is. So do step out of your comfort zone and challenge yourself to have that hard conversation so that you can provide the support that your loved one needs. Do be honest about whether you can support them or not. Now, if you're someone who suffered abuse in the past, you may be triggered by their circumstances. You do not have to disclose what happened to you, but please do be honest with the level of support you're able to provide. Because if you do avoid this conversation or this person, you will come off as unsupportive and not just someone who's trying to protect themselves. Do provide resources, but do not assume that they are seeking a solution when they may just be seeking out support. Resources like hotline numbers and websites that support survivors are great things to provide. However, do not provide these things as a means to scapegoat the conversation because you're feeling uncomfortable. A good example of this is encouraging them to seek therapy instead of talking with you. Therapy should be recommended, but not as an alternative in speaking with the people that they love. This will only show that you're not really comfortable in supporting them, but would rather try to shoo them away into another direction. Do maintain confidentiality. Respect their privacy at this time, and do keep in mind that this is their life and this is their story to tell. Now, there are definitely some limitations in this, especially if you feel that they're still in danger or if the person is a child. You may need to report it depending on the circumstances, but keep in mind that their health and well-being is what is most important here. Do ask how they're doing. Do frequent check-ins to see how they're feeling and coping. Expressing concern and caring goes a really long way in helping someone to recover from abuse. Do be mindful of triggers. Some abuse survivors will experience post-traumatic triggers such as recoiling to someone's touch. Be incredibly mindful of this and always ask permission if you are coming into their space, i.e., trying to give them a hug or trying to hold their hand. Not respecting this boundary could cause them to be triggered and have a physical and/or emotional reaction. Do be patient with them. Healing is an incredibly personal and slow-moving journey. By all means, do not try to rush their process. If you are a partner to a survivor, do be understanding that it may take them some time to become comfortable with intimacy again. Do ask them how you can best support them. Remember that each person's journey is unique, so what each person needs in terms of support will vary. Do give them the space to express what their needs are in this time, and trust that they will disclose how you can best help them. Remember that above all, they're going to know what they need most. Do set boundaries with them. Surviving abuse can be an emotional roller coaster, and it can be very easy to use close friends and family members as a crutch rather than just for healthy support. You should absolutely be supportive of your loved one, but this should not be a day in and day out thing. You should not be living in their pain with them. Please keep in mind that there is a huge difference between needing support and being an energy vampire. desire. As a confidant, you should be there for support, but you are not equipped to fix the problem much like a therapist, and you are not this person's therapist. You must be careful to express what your limitations are with support, and be mindful of your own needs as well. Do not dissect their character and look for every reason not to believe them. I think as empathetic human beings, we really don't want to believe that people are capable of atrocities like abuse. However, when you immediately start to look for reasons why the abuse possibly couldn't have happened, you are discrediting the person who's coming forward, and you may present a barrier in their healing process. Do not invalidate their feelings. Rejecting, ignoring, or judging what the person is disclosing is invalidation of their feelings and can be considered emotional abuse. Phrases like, "You're being too sensitive," or "maybe you're not seeing the situation correctly," or telling them to just move on and get over it, are all unsupportive ways of invalidating their experience. Do not victim blame or interrogate with questions. Questions like, "Why were you there so late?" or "Why did you drink so much?" or "What were you wearing?" are all signs of victim blaming. And this can also be viewed as you supporting the perpetrator. Do not blame the whistleblower, blame the person who caused the trouble. Do not force them into situations where they will see the abuser, or worse, be forced to interact with them. You may want answers or a resolution or closure, especially if you know the survivor as well as the perpetrator. However, forcing the abused into this situation is emotional abuse. I repeat, this is emotional abuse. It is not up to the survivor to provide closure for you, especially when they are not the one who caused the problem. Do not encourage them to confront their abuser. I know this sounds like a crazy concept, but there are people out there who will do that. I don't think I really have to say much here, except if you do this, you're being really fucked up. Do not treat them as if they have done something wrong or that they should feel shameful for what happened. Abuse is not within the abused person's control. They did not invite it, they could not have prevented it, and they are not responsible for it. Do not treat them as if they are a burden. If you really love this person, now is the time to step up to the plate. While it may be heartbreaking to hear about this person's pain, it's not as bad as actually having to feel the pain yourself. Coming forward takes an enormous amount of bravery, and rejecting that person's feelings could cause them to completely shut down or close off. Do not expect them to be the same person as they were before. Abuse and abuse recovery is a journey into self-reflection as well as self-discovery, and it can change you to your core. This person most likely will not be the same as they were before, and they may never be that way again. Now, this does not mean that they're going to change for the worse, but there will be change nonetheless. Do not interrogate them on why it took so long to come forward. There are numerous reasons and many layers to why survivors do not come forward, including the fear of not being believed, and there could be some brainwashing by the abuser. I would recommend doing some research behind the psychology of why a survivor doesn't come forward or comes forward later in life, to help understand why a person would be hesitant in coming forward. Do not assume that they are seeking a solution when they turn to you. A normal and completely healthy reaction to someone coming to you with an issue is to try to find a solution for them. This person most likely has already thought of all of the potential solutions and is merely just seeking out support and comfort from their loved ones. Do not treat them as if they are weak, damaged, or treat them like a child. Survivors are some of the most resilient and strong people out there. And remember, being victimized does not equate to weakness. Do not make excuses for the perpetrator. Saying things like, "I've never had that experience with them," or "they seem like a really great person," are all deflections from the fact that any person can have a different experience with any individual. And abusers do not abuse everyone that they encounter. So your experience with them may be different than the person who was abused. And saying these things will only come off as support for the perpetrator. Thank you everyone for joining me today. I hope that this video is incredibly helpful for you on your journey. If you're a survivor, what are some of the reactions that you received when you disclosed your abuse? What are some of the ways that you were supported or would have liked to have been supported? I would love to hear from you below in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit that bell notification so you don't miss any new content. Until then, see you next time.